Welcome back everybody to the final part of this flight to Glasgow in the iniBuilds A350 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So what we want to do is make sure that we've got all of our frequencies in set correctly. So we've got IOO 110.1, that matches the charts, and the inbound course of 227. So that looks pretty good. I have got a big issue with nav data, so we're basically now flying a bit blind. But I know I'm at Lanark, and ordinarily we would be in a hold. And if you do enter a hold, there is an option that then displays down here saying immediate exit, and it'll allow you to then exit the hold, or you could do a direct to the next fix potentially. But what I'm going to do is route out 350 degrees. And begin the descent. Using a bit of speed brake just to help achieve that. Actually, I'll bring us down to 220. Landing lights, nose lights, anti-icing as required. Quick check of the overhead again, that looks pretty good. Now as we get a bit closer, we'll fly a bit of a downwind leg. So 049. I'm actually going to change that to track 049, so we know that then we're positioning the aircraft into a proper downwind leg. I'm going to enable LS mode as well, just to give us a bit of an idea of how far we might be. I'm going to go into the performance page, and we've already done the approach page, and we make sure we are going for flaps full for the arrival. We're going to activate that approach phase now. Getting that warning about speed brake being extended, that's okay. And we're then going to continue our descent down towards 3,000 feet. Through transition, so we can go ahead and pull to set our QNH of 90906. High to low, down you go. And what this is here to do is just to show you that actually the nav data in the sim by default is not always correct. So you may need to intervene via a different method, i.e. self-vector, use nav mode, so you've got that situational awareness there from the airport. And you can also turn your VOR needles on as well, so that you can actually see directional indications to the airport as well. It's a nice way of helping your situational awareness as well. 21 miles. We'll slow down to 200 knots, which is our green dot speed. Because of the crosswinds and the tailwinds, so look at that, 56 knots. We've got quite a bit of work to do. That's why track FPA is actually quite useful. So what we'll do is set 345, cabin secure. Order brake, armed, brake to vacate, blue. Shouldn't need speed brake anymore, or the ground spoilers, so we can arm those as well, ready for the approach. Let's go back to heading mode. 1200 foot per minute will be good, and one more check, overhead panel lights and signs. Keep it coming round. Set 300 degrees. Inbound course of 228. And it's in the mist somewhere down there. Now ordinarily we would have an LNAV line here, but because of the nav data issue, we don't have that. So we're just having to work around it as best as we possibly can. Things like the en route charts can really help you here as well. You can see Glasgow 15.4 there. 900 feet per minute. We're going to make use of the terrain radar.
$2,500.
So we can see here the situational display. Green line is our current altitude, that's okay. We're going to go flaps 1. We start to draw a bit closer. And I'm just going to bring us into a heading of 250 degrees. Effectively going to route in through the valley over there. Going to arm the approach mode. And we're now turning on to final. So lock star. Autopilot 2 engage. All of these look a bit higher than they are, but actually the peaks are 1,900 feet MSL. We're at 3,000 feet. So what we're going to do is maintain our speed now until about 12 miles, 10 miles, bring that speed down to 180. 180 until 8 miles, and then we'll bring that speed down to 160 until 4 DME. Just as a reminder for the weather, it's 190 degrees at 20 knots currently, 9,000 meters visibility, Taran cumulus. QNH is dropping again, it's actually now 909.05, so we're going to update that. So that's a crosswind of around 12 knots, a headwind of 16 knots. Terminal charts. ILS. Just for the go around. So this shows that even if the nav data is problematic, you can still self-vector and work your way around. If the nav data's bang on the money, then actually it's easier for you to just continue along the way using managed modes. It's really fighting the weather here. In an aeroplane like this, we don't need to add 5 knots or anything like that either. But what I am going to do sort of early on, as we start this descent now, is bring that speed down to 180. We're about 10 miles, look. We'll go gear down. Flaps 2. Full flap. Landing speed's 133, approach speed's 138. Lots of haze. bring that range ring in. Landing gears down, 3 green. 8 miles, 160. Lap 3. Big crosswind still. Huge headwind as well. So the next question is, what happens if we need to go around whilst I'm monitoring and chatting and flying this approach? So if we do need to go around, what we will do is pin the throttles to toga, then click them back down to climb for like a soft go around. Unless we're very close to the ground, in which case we might want to just leave them in toga for a little bit. We'll set go around flaps, which will be flap 3, because we're going to fly this approach as a full flap approach. In fact, I'm going to set full flaps now. Pitch up, get positive rate, gear up. And then we can tell the tower that we're going around at that point once we've dealt with all of those initial actions. And then we'll fly the missed approach procedure as best as possible, depending on what airport it is that you're flying into. Coming up to 5 miles now. We can get rid of the terrain map. We've got a bit of vision with the ground below, and it just declutters that display for us as well. Check. Remember, the autopilot's going to probably stay on until a bit closer, and actually the airport is down here somewhere. Our heading is over there, but our track is actually over there. It's reduced to final approach speed now, and what you will notice is because of these winds, this managed airspeed mode here will just keep fluctuating. See there already it's moving, and that's to counter the effects of the gusts. Short final, 3.5 miles. Landing memo's no blue. We've got landing inhibit mode there, ready to go. Decision altitude 103 feet above ground level. Decision height. Okay, runways now coming into view. You can see the offset there with the crosswinds.
400.
Now when we take manual control, which is now for me,
300.
Small adjustments are needed, and you need to give the aeroplane time to react, because otherwise you may overcorrect. Already it's now getting thrown around a bit, but we're doing the job, holding us steady.
100 above. Minimum 100.
Continue.
50,
Looking ahead.
40. 30. 20.
A little bit of back pressure.
Retard. 10.
Touchdown. Just correction there to maintain that centre line. Reverse green. Brake to vacate is active as well. And we decelerate. We've already got A&F preloaded and ready. And obviously we need to make sure we are using a bit of rudder to maintain that centre line. See, a lot of extra work with the vectoring there to get us on final approach because of the issues with the nav data. As you saw, I think it's actually a scenery issue. 60 knots, reverse can come off. And brake to vacate will slow us down to just sort of 10 knots now, look. And we can then dab the brakes to actually deactivate that and take over. And then we'll vacate here at Foxtrot. So after landing checks, we can go ahead and turn a lot of this off. LS mode. Flight directors can come off as well, potentially, if you wish. We can retract the flaps, disarm the ground spoilers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our destination.
And in the cabin,
Please remain
we'll get the
seated
arrival
with your
announcements.
seatbelt fastened until the aircraft has come to.
APU can come on at this point. And just controlling that speed for this slightly tighter turn. Little bit of brakes. Down to at least sort of 10 knots. And as we vacate, landing lights can come off, nose light can go to taxi, strobe lights, automatic for now, one click. And as we really do cross over that sort of guard line, now we can turn them off. Following the taxiway all the way around, might need a little bit of power because it is a tight turn. Just to maintain our 7 knots of ground speed that we do have. And then on the surveillance page, we can turn TCAS to standby, confirm, and you can also pop the transponder onto standby if you wish as well, depending on airport requirements. And that is it. You can see there the APU is ready to go, and it's available at the top, so we can pop the bleed on for the APU, and then we can taxi to the stands. So we can go ground, GSX, and we can then try and find a suitable parking space for our aircraft. 21 is probably going to be quite a good one. So as you make your way to your parking stands, just before you turn on in, you can turn your nose light off. You can also disarm the slides. We'll be parking at stand 29 today, one of the few heavy stands here at Glasgow. And again, we've got the arrow line there, but we need to kind of overshoot that a little bit to then give the main wheels a chance to be in line with the rest of the parking guidance. So round we go, and as it crosses over that kind of pillar, we can then start a nice big sweeping turn to bring us in line, like so. No guidance here, so what we can do is just use our judgment, or even use external camera modes to kind of line us up nicely. Like so. Parking brake set. APU, just confirm that is on, and then engine select switches to the cut-off position. Those engines will basically spool down. Keep an eye on the M1. And we can turn the beacon off. Pop the chocks in place. And then using the GSX menu, we can then request deboarding. So there we have it. A little flight from Heathrow to Glasgow in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with the brand new iniBuilds A350. So I hope you do find it very useful and have enjoyed watching the video. Share your tips, tricks, thoughts in the comments section below. Perhaps you have a fix for the approach and the nav data issues that we faced on the arrival here. Might be a scenery issue, it might just be a sim nav data problem. But I have showed you how to kind of work around those problems, because they do crop up every now and again at some airports in the flight sim environment. We're going to get all the punters off here at Glasgow, And I'll put the route down in the description for the video as well, if you do want to replicate the precise route that we've flown for this training flight. But in any case, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.